Hello, Namaste. Welcome to Brisbane Talks with Deepak Rawat, the podcast where we dive into unique journeys of people who have moved to Australia, whether for work, study, love, or adventure. Each episode explores the challenges, surprise, and life lessons that comes with adjusting in a new country. So let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, Aarya.
Thank you for having me.
Can you please tell us where you're from and which year you came to Australia?
Okay, so I'm from the sunny state of Goa. Beautiful beaches, lots of seafood, yummy seafood, and lovely people. Yeah.
And which year you came to Australia?
I came to Australia in the year of 2008.
2008.
January 2008. Yeah.
And can you share the story? What motivated you to come to Australia?
Yeah, sure. So higher studies was the reason for me coming to Australia. It wasn't really the motivation because I didn't really want to go to a foreign land to study. I always wanted to do my master's after my graduation, but I never thought of going abroad to do it. So I was answering some exams back home and also taking classes which help you crack these exams. And also, so I wasn't getting through it. At the end, my dad had gotten me a paid seat at a university in Pune. And I was going to join it, but we were going to go see them first and the following weekend. So this is on the following Saturday. So, but just that week, my dad just had this idea that I should go abroad and study. So he suggested that I look at going abroad and studying. And he said, why don't you try Australia? And I remember being really annoyed, irritated.
Because you never wanted to come to...
Yeah, so I was very annoyed. I didn't want to hear anything about it. And so I just, but then... because somehow I knew I wanted to be in India and I wanted to study there. I wanted to complete my master's, but in India. And so when this Pune thing was finally happening, when I was supposed to go to this university, I'd actually, in my head, I thought that I'd be studying and doing my master's there. So I was actually mentally preparing myself to go to a different state. And then suddenly just going abroad, the idea wasn't really, I wasn't really liking it. But then my dad insisted that I give it a thought, and he actually insisted a lot. So,
that's how you end up coming. What was the immigration process once you decided yes you want to come? How was the immigration process? Was it too hard or pretty easy for you to come here?
The immigration process wasn't hard at all. We went through an agency, and the agency was they were very good with what they did. So sending kids abroad. So they did everything for us, and I didn't have to do much. So I would say, it was overall a smooth process for us.
Can you describe your very first day in Australia? How was that experience when you landed through the airport? Did you know anyone here, or was it absolutely like a shock to you?
Oh, yes, it was a shock, a big one at that. I landed here and then I was picked up by the university bus. We were a couple of students traveling from all over the world. And there were a lot of mainly the international students. And so we were then dropped off to our places. So wherever someone was accommodated, they were dropped off. And so I was dropped off at this lady's house where I was meant to stay. So that was my first day. And this lady, my dad had actually contacted her from India while being in India, and she was paid up and everything for the first 6 weeks. So this was a room that I was meant to rent in her house. The lady that I was staying with, the owner, she wasn't there. She was actually at work. And so this was at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, I just, I don't even remember. I don't think I ate anything. I was just very tired because it was a very long...
Overwhelmed as well.
Yes, it was a very long flight. And I was away from the family and everything. So I was really tired. So I just remember just taking a shower and just going straight to bed. And then waking up in the middle of the night. Not even in the middle. Actually, I woke up at 9 o'clock at night. I checked the time. It was 9 o'clock. And it was pitch black. The house was... There was no one in the house. and I checked, and then she had left me a letter saying she was away at a party, so she'd see me at night if I'm awake. And that is when it hit me. So I was just in tears, and my phone wasn't working because it was a different country. My phone wasn't working. I couldn't contact my family. I had a laptop with me, but I didn't have internet on it because I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi at home. So yeah, it was very hard. I couldn't contact anyone. I was really scared. I turned on all the lights in the house, and I just sat there waiting for her to come back. Yeah.
Okay. So just describe first 6 months for us then. How was it? Was the transition become a bit easier, or how did you work somewhere, or how far was the uni and all those sort of things?
Yep. So this house was quite close to the uni, not very close, but you had to take a bus. But it wasn't far, like really far. And Townsville didn't have any trains running at that time, so it was just the buses. And the first 6 months were, I wasn't really actively looking for a job the first 6 months, if I may say so. I was just, it took me, first of all, the first month I just remember crying and just missing my family terribly. And back then we had Skype, so I would Skype them every day and night, and I would speak to them. And I even thought of going back. I was just miserable without my family because here I was, so far away from them.
And this was your first time
away from them.
Your family as well,
yes.
of course.
I had never stayed away from my family, not even for a day or night back home. So it was very difficult. I did think this thought of going back did come to me a lot. And but then just after a month, just as I was like, a month of being at uni, I met people who became my friends eventually, wonderful people, and they helped me get through the first 6 months. And then things just started getting easier. Like I would just start getting used to the place, and that's all it takes, just getting used to the situation. So I wasn't really, job-wise, I wasn't really actively looking for a job. But then I did find a job 6 months later.
What sort of jobs you have done?
Well, my first job was at a petrol station, a United petrol station, and I only worked there for 2 weeks because it wasn't safe. Like I felt, because I hadn't really traveled, like even back home, I wouldn't step out of the house after 7 p.m. And so I was really scared. Like I would have to, like he would want me to do shifts going up until 9 p.m. So, and then I would be really scared. So I remember taking a cab. I mean, he wasn't paying me a lot. He wasn't paying me much anyway, but I remember taking a cab for like a 6-hour shift, which would end at 9 p.m. just because I was scared to travel by bus, cross the road and go to the other side and catch a bus. So I was really scared. So, and I realized that I wasn't safe. I wasn't going to save much on the job. So that was my first job after the first 6 months when I finally got a job. And then I worked at a Domino's restaurant, Domino's Pizza. And I worked there for 1 or 2 days a week. So it was also with a friend, a roommate who was also in the same accommodation with me. So she was working there. We actually applied for the job at the same time. So we worked there. And then I also worked at an Indian restaurant. Now, these jobs were happening at different times. They weren't together. So then I worked at an Indian restaurant. A friend of mine was working at an Indian restaurant, and he suggested that I try at the restaurant. So then I did. And then it was 2 days, Friday and Saturday. The Domino's job and the restaurant job I used to work them together. So, and then, I eventually gave up on that Domino's job. And then because I got a job at Coles as a night fill assistant.
Were you arranging your fees by yourself, or was it a bit of a help?
So the course that I came here to study was Masters of Information Technology. It was called Masters of Information Technology, but it did have 4 units of MBA subjects in it as well. So now you could take the 4 subjects, or you could study them together, or you could take them each in like 1 unit per semester. If you wanted to. So so I did do 4 units of MBA as well, but the degree was called Masters of Information Technology, and it went on for 2 years. So for the entire 2 years, I didn't really strive to pay for my fees. That was they were being arranged by my
working
back
just
home.
for your personal expenses and everything.
At first, it was more like I did want some pocket money for myself because I'd seen all my friends working, and they were making good money. So I didn't really want to make a lot of money, but I did want to make some money. Like I thought, okay, it's really nice working and earning money, because I'd never done that.
That's right.
Ever. So
it gives you that feeling of self-dependent as well.
And so when I got my first paycheck from my first ever job, I was very happy. So and so then things just escalated, as in like from one job to the other, like where you just get used to the fact that you have some pocket money on you to spend on the things that you love. And that's how I ended up buying my first ever vehicle in Australia, which was a scooter for $1,800. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So once you finish your study, how long it took you to apply for your permanent residency? How did that happen?
So once I finished in 2010, and then I applied for my temporary visa, which is a bridging visa. And then the plan was to go back to India and never come back. But I did apply for this, and I'm thankful to God for doing that. I'm thankful to myself, actually, for doing that. Because the plan, this was I just applied for it as a backup plan, because everybody that I knew was applying for it. So I applied for it, went to India. I didn't really wanting never to come back. And then I remember as soon as I got there, my parents were just waiting for me with all these matches, rishtas,
to get
me married. Yes. And so I was like, what the hell? And things had actually started the day I finished my degree here in 2010. I remember getting a call from my dad the very next day and asking me to talk to this boy. And then I was like, what happened? You feel like you're this little child to your parents, and then suddenly they are wanting you to get married.
Doing matchmaking.
Like, what happened there? And then I wasn't liking it much, where parents were just constantly only talking about getting married. So then, and I remember that I had this bridging visa, which meant that I could come back. And so I said my goodbyes to everyone, my landlady, my friends, and everyone here in Australia, in Townsville and in Brisbane. But I was in Townsville back then. But I ended up coming back, but this time, though, I ended up coming back to Brisbane. So, and I had a friend living here, and I was meant to come and stay with her. So I remember she couldn't accommodate me at that point. So I remember knowing this guy who was introduced to me by a common friend back in Townsville, but he was still in Brisbane. We'd never actually met face-to-face in person. But I remember, and then I just contacted him, and he was nice enough to suggest me a place to stay. And so, and then that's how I ended up meeting my lovely husband. So, so then we dated for about a month and decided to get married.
Did you get married here, or did
we got married in India? So we went to India and got married. And when we came back, that is when we applied for our PR.
As a family?
As a couple, yes. And I was the primary applicant in that. And then... so then, and we ended up, things went pretty well for us. So we ended up getting our PR in 3 days.
So did you apply your permanent residency by yourself, or did you?
We went through an agency. So in 2011 is when we got married. November 2011, we came back, and then we applied for it. The process started in December and all through January. In January, in fact, actually, we applied. We put in our application, and we got a call from the lawyer in 3 days saying that we got it. So it was a pretty smooth process for us.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family dynamics? How's your family? And once you get married, you have kids and everything?
Yes. So I have 2 beautiful boys. My first son was born in 2015, and my second son was born in 2018.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
So now you're living here for almost 17, 18 years. How do you compare the quality of life in Australia compared to back home in India?
The quality of life is definitely better in over here.
Yeah.
In India, I would say India sort of weighs in more when it comes to having your family and your friends around, because you don't have your family and your friends around here.
Correct.
So that is what I miss the most about India. But the quality of life is definitely better here. There is also something called as the work-life balance here,
correct.
which is given a lot of importance. So me being a working mum, I get to manage my work and my boys as well, as in my life and my work life.
Correct.
So if my boys, if I need to be with my boys, if they're having a bad day or if they're sick or whatever,
you
my
can-
workplace is pretty good that way. Like they do understand that I need to, there's a family that I need to take care of as well. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. And what sort of long-term plans you have? Do you want to permanently live here, or you want to go back to home?
Well, my husband often says when we retire, we might look at, we should look at going back home and maybe settling there. But that's just, I don't really think much about it for now. But maybe when we get a bit older, when the kids are older as well, when they can look after themselves, we don't have to worry about them. So I don't think it ever stops when you stop worrying about your kid. But we would love to settle back in India someday. Yeah,
That's nice. So you've seen your journey here in this country and everything. So do you have any advice for anyone who's coming now to this country? How can they be prepared a little bit more better so that they don't have to go through all those things which we have gone through, you have gone through? So any advice for these people coming to overseas?
I would say things are I wouldn't say things are much easier, but they do have a lot more options now.
More exposure as well, and more connectivity.
And more options as well, like in terms of what kind of job they want to do. They want to. You could even work online now. Like we didn't have these kind of options back then. So all the only kind of options we had was working in person, or working at a cafe, working at a restaurant, and now you have like Uber Eats and things like that. So there's so many options. And I've seen people coming in and settling in straight away because they have, so many options, that they do have the right kind of help as well. I would say if you want to go abroad, you should be prepared to work hard.
Correct.
Give it your everything. Don't let anything put you down, or don't let anything stop you from achieving your dreams. And so I would say
that's nice.
That would be my advice.
So before we finish, we always try to thank people who have helped us throughout our journey. So is there any special people or anyone who you want to thank through this podcast?
First of all, I would say my beautiful parents. They supported me. Back they missed me as much as I did them. So yes, my dad, back then it seemed like he was forcing me into this. Like I didn't want to go abroad, and he was actually forcing me to, sort of semi-pressuring me into doing things that I didn't want to do. But now if I look back at it, I think it was, he was just,
it was the right advice.
It was for my well-being, and it was actually for a good future and a good life. My husband, he supported me through thick and thin, and has always been with me. And also to all those people that I met along the way. So whether it was, anyone who's helped me in, any way or the other, like some shape or form. So my friends who helped me, who made this journey really easy for me. And also whether it be the bus driver who helped me with the currency, telling me because I couldn't figure out what the currency was. Like I was new to it. So like I remember the first or the second day that I was standing waiting for the bus, and I didn't know what the currency was. So he told me what the currency was, explained to me very nicely. So all these people who've helped me in some way or the other.
No, that's very nice. Thank you for your time, Aarya, and very nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Deepa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. We hope today's stories have inspired you, whether you are planning to move or simply curious about what it's really like to start fresh in a new country. Thank you. Do not forget to subscribe, share, and like Brisbane Talks.